everyone, it's Anna from Love Baby Photography. Today we're going to edit this image. I did an image recently very similar to this. I think we did just editing in Photoshop. It was a slightly different pose or different props that I used, but very similar more or less. And if you watch that video, you know that I spoke about that this particular newborn had pretty bad acne. And so I kind of went back and forth between two images, and I showed you what that looked like. Oh no, what's happening? But in that video, I already edited the skin, and we were just playing with the skin tones and the actions and things like that. But in this video, I wanted to show you how to do her skin and run a few actions really quick, kind of like more or less from beginning to the end. But anyways, let's get into this video. So this was shot with my D610 with my 35mm lens. This baby was big. I think she was over 9 pounds, and she was also overdue by like 2 weeks, so she was a chunky one. Anyway, so we're gonna go ahead and check the camera profile and see what neutral looks like, and I do like it, but it makes the image just a tad darker, so we're going to brighten it up. So we're gonna go over here and we're gonna add a little bit of exposure. Not too much, because if I do too much, then you could see that the back side, it's gonna be blown out. So I'm gonna leave it at like 20. Then we're gonna come here and we're gonna pull out some of the yellow. And I will also pull out a little bit of red, because she's a little red. Just about there. And then I'm going to go into one of my favorite tools, which is the adjustment brush tool, that allows you to work on a particular section or area without touching anything else that you don't need. So since her face is still a little bit dark right here, so I'm going to use the exposure probably at 30 and just brighten her up a little bit. Just like that. And that'll be enough. Alright, let me pull back. I'm going to go back right here and over here, and I'm going to take down the highlights just a little bit so the back is not so exposed. I'm going to come back here to my adjustment tool, and I'm just going to run over her face just a tad more. That's it. Alright, so let me show you side by side. So this was the before, and this was after. So this is a raw image. I haven't done anything to it, just opened it in Photoshop. As you could see on the left hand side, we did exposure, we took out some yellow, we took out some red, we did adjustment brush tool and played a little bit with the highlights, and that's the result you get, and it's already looks pretty perfect. So if you don't even have any actions, I would even leave it like this. Of course, just, fix her skin and the background. All right, so let's open it up in Photoshop and see what we're gonna do. All right, so we're going to jump in and do her skin before anything else, I guess. Okay, so let's do this. So I'm going to select my spot healing brush tool and just, start selecting small areas and kind of just working my way through this. I will first focus, on the bigger things, like the acne and the red bumps. And then I'll look at the patches and stuff like that. This is a very, very easy tool, and I know like a lot of people will get a newborn like this and they might get scared, kind of like, oh my goodness, like what am I going to do? This is gonna take so long. You know, and if you don't have the luxury, like when you're starting a business, to send your images out, you know, for editing, you know, don't worry. This is, you know, it works, and you might have to, you know, try a few times, but healing brush tool is your best friend, honestly. And you know, the key is not to grab big areas, because then it just might look a little off. See, like right here. Let me go back. Okay. And then I'm gonna go back again, and I'm gonna go back again. Probably need to clone it over there by her nose, because I can't get so close. Okay. Let me see. Okay. So let me get rid of this. I don't, is that her skin, or is it a blemish? I might need glasses. That's what I might need. All right, so I'm just gonna, I went to grab my clone tool. I will drop the opacity, probably like to 50%. And I'm gonna get closer and clone it. Perfect. You see? So, and I like to drop the opacity because, excuse me, because, you know, then it's a more of a natural look. Because if I would have grabbed it at 100%, you know, it's really cloning something from here, and then you're putting it over here. So you would have seen a big difference. So dropping the opacity when you're cloning is a really, really great thing to do. It's a really great tip. All right, so let's see. What else do we have? Yeah, so this typically, you know, it does happen every once in a while. So when newborns are overdue, I believe this girl was almost 2 weeks overdue, and I think by the time I did her newborn session, because sorry. We had to wait for some family members to get into town because they wanted to be present. So she was nearly, I think she was exactly 3 weeks and 1 day. So being that she was 2 weeks overdue, and then being 3 weeks and 1 day old, so she was, you know, she was pretty old. And so it happens a lot when the babies are overdue, that, you know, they'll have, you know, blemishes, and the skin will start peeling. But it's very important to reassure the parents that, you know, you got it. You're going to make this happen, and this baby is going to look flawless. Okay, I'm going to try to get a little bit closer over here. Wait, what is this? And let's see. All right, so I think I'm going to clone again, but I might drop it to like 40% opacity, because it's a little bit more shadow here, so it's a little bit more darker than anywhere else. So I'm just going to come in like that. Just make it a little bit more lighter. Perfect. That looks good. Okay, now what's happening over here? So she has some red bumps. I'm telling you guys, editing with the spot healing brush tool and then cloning at a lower opacity, it is the best thing ever. It is so easy, and the color match is pretty much on point. It's really good. Alright, I think we might be done. Oops. Let me go back over here. Let me grab this from the wrong spot. Okay. Alright, let me see. Okay, so I have, I'm gonna just run a little action to remove some of the red. And it's not a lot, it's just some areas that she's just a little bit red. But like if we go back, so this was her, before. And this is her now. So it's much better. And again, it's not a tremendous amount of work. Alright, what's happening here? So let me drop the opacity to probably like 20. And I'm gonna focus a little bit more on this area since the pillow is red. So she has a little bit more red. And then a little bit here. I'll make it smaller and go underneath her nose and just on her chin. Okay, so this was the before and this is after. Easy and simple. Okay, so next we're going to just fix the background a little bit. This is a Flocati rug. See, so now for areas like this, I forgot to change my opacity to 100% because you need it 100% in order to get rid of all this goodness in the background. So yeah, so this is a Flocati rug. I have them in a couple of different colors. You can get them, I think, on Rug USA for pretty good price. I think the sizes that I have is 5x7. They tend to be a really good size. I do have a few that are 3x5, but they're just a little bit smaller. So I suggest that if you're going to invest in a Flocati, get the bigger size because it'll be easier for you because you have more negative space to shoot. And then you don't have to buy them from like vendors because they will tend to be a little bit more expensive. But you can get them on Rug USA. I mean, mine are quite old, but I think they run anywhere between like maybe $50 to like $80, and they do run really good sales, so you can get a really great deal. And they have quite a few good colors. They have a gray color that's really nice. I think they have a pink one that's really good as well, and then the off-white, brown. So yeah, that gives you lots of options, especially when you're starting. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do, I have so many actions here, I need to clean it up, is I'm going to run the warm tones. And go back to my layer. I'm going to select the warm tone 1. It's at 50% opacity. I'm going to drop it to probably about here. I like the way that looks. It's warm, but it's not too much. Maybe just a tad down. Let's do like 15. So let's see. So that was before, and this is after. So it gives just like that enough warmth, and it also warms the greenery, the tree. So it looks really good. I like it. So I'm gonna go ahead and flatten that, and then I'm gonna run creamy it's at 65% opacity. I'm going to drop it to about probably 50. I'll click on fill, make sure that I have my black brush selected, select the black box and then select your brush, and I will probably go at like 35% opacity because I want to get it off her face. And I'll just start removing it where she is. Just like that, little by little. And this will be pretty much it as for editing, Again, it's very easy, very simple, and I always say start with light colors, and you can, add pop of color if you really need to, and it's just so easy and simple to edit. You don't have to, invest into so many actions, so many props, so many colors. Alright, so this is where we remove the creamy color of her face. So you can always go back and fill it in if you need to, and you can just double check to make sure that this works for you. So I'm going to go ahead and flatten this, and since she's pretty blotchy, right, I'm gonna run this action that I usually will run on babies who have, bad skin tone, just to make it more even. So I'm gonna do this deblotch strong and just kind of paint it all over her skin before before I'll run portraiture, but I'll see what she's gonna look like. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry it's taking so long. It's just, I have so many things open as always. Alright, here we go. So let me get a little bit closer, and remember, do I need to have the white brush or the black brush? Start with the white. Yeah, it's the white brush. So I'm going to bump it up, excuse me, to about 60% opacity, and I'm just going to paint it over her face. So just what it does, it kind of creates a more even skin tone. So this was the before, this was after. It's even though I do it at 60% opacity, it's still too much for me, so I will come back here and I will bring it down to probably like 70. And you could still see it makes a big difference. And that's it. I'm going to flatten that. Let me see. And now we're going to run portraiture to really kind of smooth her out. My portraiture setting is normal, and I have sharpness selected over here, and I have my mask on so that way I can adjust it over here, my layer panel, if I need it. Alright, so now she's before and after, so she's super smooth. So I'm going to go ahead and drop my opacity. Let me see, probably like 65. I don't want her to be too smooth. So that's about it, guys. This is the final edit. I will go ahead and flatten this.